today.
Can I take a quick picture with you?
All right, let's get everybody that was outside in, please. Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to day 2. Yes. We promised to get you out of here on time, okay? We're going to adjourn between 12:15 and 12:30. You'll be able to go out for a beautiful lunch on the terrace and then enjoy the rest of your day, okay? I was going to kick off with something here, and I don't think she's in the room. Paula Revlin, are you here? She's running a little late. We have a birthday girl. It's her birthday today, so we're going to give her a little happy birthday sing and embarrass her when she walks in the door, okay? All right. Let's get started. All right. We're so excited for this morning's presentation. So now we learned all this stuff yesterday, right? Yikes. A lot of stuff to manage, huh? To be in optimal health for your clients and optimal health for your life and be able to manage and regenerate and refuel the tank every day so that when you're in front of your clients, you are spot on, bright, shining, and filled with enthusiasm. So that's easier said than done, but you all need to start practicing. This is really important. You cannot let the siphoning come out of your field. You have to protect the field, okay? And when you protect the field, you're going to be healthy. You're going to be able to connect with your clients. You're going to be able to read your clients. You're going to be able to feel their feelings and be able to be a more empathetic professional, and they will trust you more when they feel that you can feel their energy. And we learned a couple of other things yesterday, right? When someone's not treating you well, a client might not be treating you well, it's not about you, is it? No. It has nothing to do with you. You know, like Sonia talked about, nothing to do with you. They're sad, they're scared, they're lonely, they feel life has done them wrong, and so they're just taking it out on you, right? And you got to remember that, okay? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be attracting amazing clients, right? You need to do affirmations, right? I tell so many of you, I attract sellers who are fabulous and listen to me. I attract buyers who are fabulous and listen to me, okay? The more you affirm that, the more great clients you're going to have. And when you end up with a client that's not so great, it's usually one of two things. You attracted it. Maybe you were having a stressful week and you attracted this client, or it was a karma, a little lesson, a little pop quiz that the universe gave you to see how you can handle this kind of person, right? And as long as you have your bubble around you, it won't affect you. It won't affect you. Okay? So let's kick it off. Here we go. We're going to learn about some more modalities. There are so many healing modalities, it's ridiculous. But we are going to talk about a couple of them this morning before our amazing guest comes on. So we're going to have a morning session. We are going to take a break at 10:15. We're going to be back in our seats at 10:30 sharp for Cindy Dale. And we're going to be learning some amazing stuff. If you still have your packets, there's a laminate in your packets of the chakra system. You're going to want that for when she comes online. Okay? All right, let's kick it off. All right, we are going to talk about a different approach. The indigenous people of the world, and how did they do healing? How did they bring about manifestation? Greg Braden is one of the world's leading best-selling authors in the concept of the lost mode of prayer. We use the word manifestation. At the end of the day, it's really a prayer. And Greg has gotten very popular. He goes on tour now with Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, but they really spent a lot of years understanding this lost mode of prayer. We find it throughout the indigenous people of the Americas, Latin America, South America, Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. Now the lost mode of prayer became popular about 20 years ago, and now we call it manifesting. Okay? It's just a different term for the same thing, but it's been around for thousands of years. So I want you to just kick back for a minute. This is 5 minutes, but I want you to listen to it. This is really important. Greg went all over the world and studied the monks in Tibet, studied the guys in the Amazon, studied all these different American tribes, and he came up with the fact that they were manifesting, like at a super high level. So let's hear about that.
Is there a fifth mode or a lost mode of prayer that allows us to move beyond needing intervention, beyond asking for help, a mode of prayer that allows us to be part of the solution? So in other words, is there a way of communicating with the divine matrix, with this Higgs field, that considers us as part of, rather than separate from, the field that we are experiencing from within? Well, the answer is the reason that I'm sharing this episode. It's a resounding yes. So what I'd like to do is share an example. This is a story, it's a true story that happened to me when I left the corporations in the early 1990s, and I moved to a piece of land in the high desert of northern New Mexico.
Sorry, guys, hold on. Can we restart that, please? Sorry, guys.
Is there a fifth mode or a lost mode of prayer that allows us to move beyond needing intervention, beyond asking for help, a mode of prayer that allows us to be part of the solution? So in other words, is there a way of communicating with the divine matrix, with this Higgs field, that considers us as part of, rather than separate from, the field that we are experiencing from within? Well, the answer is the reason that I'm sharing this episode. It's a resounding yes. So what I'd like to do is share an example. This is a story, it's a true story that happened to me when I left the corporations in the early 1990s, and I moved to a piece of land in the high desert of northern New Mexico. And those of you that live in that part of the world, you may remember the 1990s was one of the worst droughts in recorded history. The elders of the native peoples, they said in the memory of their ancestors, they'd never seen a drought that had lasted as long as what we were experiencing. It was going on 5+ years. It was terrible. Cattle were dying, crops were dying, people were selling their farms because they could no longer support themselves on the land. And it was during this time that a native friend of mine called me one morning. And to honor his privacy, I'm going to call him David, even though David is not really his name. But David called me one morning and he asked me, he said, "Greg, would you like to meet me and accompany me to a place that is so old, no one even knows who built this place. It was built by the hands of our ancestors. It is a wheel. It is a circle of stone where we offer our prayers, because in this place, the skin between the worlds is very thin." I love that terminology. So he said, "Would you like to join me to offer a prayer of rain?" And I didn't have to think twice. I said, "You bet." And I met David and we hiked into this place. I wasn't prepared for what I saw. As an Anglo, as a Westerner, I expected to see some chanting, some kind of ceremony, maybe some dancing. And what I saw was David. He sat in the ground. He took off his old work boots. He unlaced them and put them outside the circle. He stepped into the circle with his naked feet on the ground. He closed his eyes. He honored all of his ancestors. He honored the directions, all 6 of them. And then he closed his eyes with his hands in a prayer mudra over his heart, just for a few seconds. This is outside of the town of Taos, New Mexico. It's the nearest city of any size. And he looked at me. He opened his eyes and he looked and he said, "I'm hungry. You want to get a bite to eat?" And he was inside the circle. And I said, "Well, yes." I said, "But I thought you were going to pray for rain." And he looked at me, and what he said has stayed with me so powerfully for so long, and it's helped so many people when they think about how this prayer works. He looked at me and said, no. He said, if I prayed for rain, rain could never happen. He said, because the moment I pray for rain, I have just told the universe that rain does not exist here. The moment I pray for it to happen, I'm acknowledging that it's not here now. And I said, well, if you didn't pray for rain just now, I said, when you close your eyes, what did you just do? And he said, when I closed my eyes, he said, I felt the feeling of what it feels like when it rains in my Pueblo village. He said, I felt the feeling of what it feels like to stand with my naked feet in the mud, and the mud is there because there's been so much rain. He said, I smelled the smells of what the rain smells like when it rolls off the earthen walls from our Pueblo, and I felt what it would feel like to walk through the corn that's this high against my naked chest, and it's this high because there's been so much rain to grow the corn, and then I give thanks of gratitude and appreciation for the rain that has already happened. All right, can you see now, through everything that we have explored, everything we've discovered in this series, can you see what David has just done? He's brought together so many of the concepts. He's acknowledging that there's a field out there, number one, that he's communicating with that field. He's acknowledging that the feeling is the language that the field recognizes. It's not so much about the words. The words can be spoken. However, if the words are spoken, the goal is to create the feeling, all right? And he's acknowledging that he has the potential as a man, a human, in the presence of this field to reach inside of the field into the realm of all things that are possible and isolate the possibility of his choice and collapse that potential into something real in our world. And he's doing it through a very sophisticated internal technology that we call the lost mode of prayer. It is a feeling-based prayer. The key, feeling as if the prayer is already answered. Coming.
Okay? That's manifesting. In our coachings, we talk about this all the time, don't we? But see, that's manifesting. And many of you are like visualizing, and it's like it's not working because you're not feeling what it feels like if it's already done. That's the key. Any questions? So whether it comes to having 10 escrows or whether it comes to healing something in your body, it's the exact same thing. All right, let's go into 2 minutes on healing your body.
From the outcome. There is a huge difference between working toward the outcome a little at a time and beginning with the outcome. And you've probably seen this huge difference in your life as a child. I know that I did. For example, I was told when I was young, if I scrape my knee on the sidewalk, that the healing is going to happen slowly, gradually, over a period of time. And you know what? Sure enough, that's exactly the way it happened. I would look and expect, my mom told me, she said, every day it's going to get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And I'd look, and she was right. It was getting a little better, a little better, and a little better. Is it possible that when we look at our bodies with that kind of expectation, that the healing actually reflects, it mirrors our expectation? And if that is true, what would happen if we begin with the outcome? I want to tell you, I've done this in my life, and it has worked. And that's why I can sit here and look at you right now, and I can tell you, I know that this modality of prayer works. And when we talk about prayer, we're talking about this as a code interacting with creation. This has nothing to do with any religion whatsoever. And I want to be really clear about that. Although religions have wrapped the rules and the dogma around these deeply spiritual principles in the past, and actually led to people in some respects feeling further from their power. It has disempowered the people, the rules and the dogma. So we're cutting right through the rules and the dogma. We're going to the essence of our most ancient and cherished spiritual technology. It's about the relationship between you and me, the field, the earth, the heavens, the cosmos, and our bodies. So I've had the opportunity to begin my healing from the place where we are conditioned to think that it leads, to feel the feeling as if the healing has already happened. In other programs, I've talked about this. I went through a physical in the year 2000. There was a tumor inside my bladder that doctors wanted to operate on physically. I acknowledged that, I applied everything that I had learned in my life, and I really applied it. I didn't just kind of apply it. I lived the deepest truths, the existence of everything that I'm saying to you in this program, and it takes work. It takes work to do that. And I did that work, and when I went back, fully prepared for surgery if it was needed, what the doctors found was there's no need for the surgery. But I've done this with cuts and scrapes as well. Our bodies will respond. We're part of the field. We're emerging from this field, and we communicate with the field in a language that recognizes emotion, feeling, just like David did with the rain.
When it comes to your body, you need to understand that the field is working with you. So we have our own little field, and then we have the bigger field, right? So I'm going to tell you a quick little story, 5-minute story, 4-minute story. My husband, where are you, Anthony? Back there. You know, he's been in construction his whole life. He's a brilliant contractor. He was working on our barbecue about 3 weeks ago, I guess it was, honey, 3 weeks ago. He built this beautiful barbecue in my house here in Rancho Mirage. And he cut himself very, very badly. Now, he's done a lot of cutting, and over the years of being a contractor, really cut his finger, like really cut it, like, you know, like, wow, should we go to the emergency room? And we looked at it. He had it. I said, no problem. Let's rinse it all out. Let's get it cleaned. And it was a deep, deep, deep cut. We rinsed it all out. We got it cleaned. My mind immediately was, this will be fine. Got it cleaned up, wrapped up. 2 days later, completely closed up. Like not even as if it wasn't there. Okay? So it's the field. It's the field. You have to integrate with the field. The field will close up any cut, any wound. The field will eradicate anything if you work with the field. Does everybody get that? There's a divine field, okay? And you're working with it, and you're bringing that power in, and it takes care of just about anything. Every one of you can heal just about everything that's going on, just about everything. All right? Now, before we move on, can we all get a little bit of a acknowledgement this morning? I would like to wish a happy birthday to our wonderful, wonderful Paula Revlin. Where are you, Paula? Woohoo! Let's do a little song. Everybody, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Paula. Happy birthday to you. Yeah. May the next year of your life bring you all your dreams.
Thank you. I love you.
You're welcome. We're so happy that you're here with us on your birthday. Okay. I apologize, guys. My earpiece is giving me a little problem this morning. I'm just trying to adjust it. Okay, now, is there anybody that's watching this and saying, there's no way that will work? Is there anyone that's a skeptic in the room? Okay, good. Remember, it's the belief. So if you get freaked out because you've got something, guess what you're going to get? Okay? More of it. So be very clear and be very confident it's healable. Okay? Yes? Yeah. Great question. Very good point. Okay? So he will be the first one to tell you that he sometimes falls off the train on that belief system. So he was a little bit stressed about it. So what I did is I jumped in for him and did the visualization. Okay? I jumped in for him to do it. Right? There's people in this room who have called me over the years and said, can you help me heal something in my body? And I work on it for you guys, right? And it works. And so you can do it for other people, but long term, they have to want it for themselves. So his belief in my belief is what did it. He had faith in my belief to do it. And he was healed like in 2 days. Yeah. You know, when he had his open heart surgery, what was that, 2019? My husband's a very strong man. Not only is he sweet and wonderful, but he's a strong, physical, strong man. And, you know, that was a rough ride to go through that, right? Triple bypass. And I remember the whole time he was in surgery, I was literally working on the surgery with the surgeon so that the cut was perfect and clean. You know, 'cause that's a pretty rough surgery. They have to open your sternum and do all that. So it was, and then he came into ICU at night, and I stayed there in the hospital in ICU, and I was picturing the whole time that everything, those steel stitches were closing. The sternum was closing up. Like this went on for like a month. So I was just visualizing it just closing up good. He had no muscle damage to the heart, none. And if you look at his scar, it's so clean you can't even see it. I mean, so you guys have to believe that you can do that. Have to believe you can do that, right? All right. Any questions? All right, let's keep going. All right, again, to feel good, place your attention on exactly what you want your health to be. Okay? Your attention, yes. Correct. Absolutely. Emily, great point. So if you're not strong enough, you can ask for the help, right? Your guides will come in, your angels will help you, your friends will help you, your family will help you. The more the merrier, right? The more the merrier. But the more people that are helping you, the stronger it will happen. But at the end of the day, if you're like, I don't believe it'll happen, so I need all these people to help me, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. It is not going to heal. So the belief has to be enough so if someone inspires you to believe, that's great. But if you deep down inside say, this isn't going to work, right? That's why, okay? So you have to believe yourself that it'll actually happen, all right? Any other questions? Yes, Steve. Yeah. You asked me two different questions there, so let me answer them separately. The belief comes from the grace. Whoever's out there, please give me grace, okay? Just give me grace. The guide thing takes a while. There are hundreds of best-selling books about how to meet your guides. We did this all last year's event, remember? There's so many ways to connect with them. There's meditations. Sylvia Brown has a beautiful one where you walk down on the beach to meet your guide. There's all kinds of meditations to meet your guide. And then the first thing that will come to your mind is a name for your guide. The guide doesn't care what you call him, okay? Remember we talked about the guide? The guide has had one life with you at least on earth. They are not an angel. Do not confuse the guides with the angels, right? They're different. Angels are of a different species, okay? But your guide was with you on earth at some point. So they're usually dressed in the attire of the time that they were with you. They're not magical beings. They're just here, and they're here to hang out, and you're their charge, right? We talked about this last year. Remember the show? Some of you aren't old enough to remember Charmed. Does everybody remember Charmed? 80s, late 80s? It was 90s? 90s. Anybody know what that show was? The three little women, that live in San Francisco. Great show. When I finished working on 90210 with Aaron Spelling, that was the next one he worked on, and I worked on the pilot. Great show. Well, in the show, there's a guy. These three little women, they live in San Francisco, and they've got their little powers. There was a guy that's watching over one of the women. That was the guide, okay? So the guide is in charge of you, and the guide can't jump in and save you. They can't. Only an angel can do that. But the guide's sitting there, and they're behind you, and they're trying to tell you what to do. And you're not listening. You're like over here. You're not listening to them. You're mental. You're not. And so the guide's going, oh, my gosh. And they walk behind you. Hey, go that way. And you're like blowing them off. And the guide's like, oh, my gosh. So the guides get very frustrated because you're not listening. And so you have to be quiet enough to hear them. So there's meditations that will help you do that. Once you got your guide, then they're with you all the time, okay? And so really when we ask for grace, we're asking for the big power, and then the guides are kind of like your helpers along the way, okay? And everybody has a guardian angel. Everybody has their angels. You guys all have that stuff. Whatever culture you're from, you have friends and helpers that are going to help you, okay? So everybody can help you bring this stuff in, everybody. Okay, so if you need help, you got to ask for it, really ask for it. Okay? When you're in present moment, like Sonia kept saying, get out of your head, come back in your body. That's the strongest light you have. Kairos, time. Timeless, Kairos, present. If you need to get into present moment right away, like I said, either go listen to some music, take a walk, massage your doggy or kitty. That'll bring you right back in, right? Anything like that will help you get right back into present. When you're in present, you've got the power. When you're in present, you've got the power. Your light's super strong. If your desires are positive, you'll bring them all in, including the health. If your desires are afraid, your attention's going to go there. You've got to be really careful. If you get a diagnosis, if you have an issue, you've got to be really careful. Please don't go to that worst case. Do not do that, because now you're manifesting that. You've just broadcasted a signal that's going to say, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to me? I don't want to die. Okay, there you go. You're broadcasting that signal. Okay, so you've got to clear all that out. Okay, you attend to the past from the present, and you attend to the future from the present. Please always stay in the present. Okay, all right. We're going to talk about a little process here that will help you. And like I said, 5 minutes a day to visualize yourself, whether you're trying to lose weight or whether you're trying to tone up or whether you're just trying to clean your liver or your kidneys, anything you're trying to do, 5 minutes of visualization will really help. And you have to be certain that it's happening. You have to be certain that it's happening, okay? All right. Minute on your DNA. Your DNA is pretty smart.
There's something inside of us that is so powerful, it is so beautiful, it is so
Can you bring that
ancient,
up?
it is so precious, that there are organizations in the world today, and there always have been, societies in the past, that will go to any length to shield us from that part of ourselves, because that's where we find our power.
Wow. A 5-time New York Times best-selling author.
Greg is one of the world's leading spiritual teachers. Greg Braden, my friends. This man is utterly...
There is a concerted movement to veil us from our own divinity, because when we are no longer connected with our divinity, we are more vulnerable to fear. The cells of our bodies literally are antennae that tune us to an energetic place in the field that underlies all existence that we now know. Science confirmed it in the year 2012. It comes down to love. Do we love ourselves enough to accept the gift of our humanness and the responsibility that comes with being a human? And
your cells are coded. Your cells are coded to connect to the field. I get asked this question all the time. What if I'm just born with bad DNA? Some people believe that. We all have mutations in our DNAs, right? Because from our parents and our grandparents, and there's different things that congenially pass down. Do you believe you can rewrite your DNA? Anybody? I got a yes. Good. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can eradicate a gene. You can actually modify your DNA if you believe it. You can remove any traces of something from your inheritance by simply using the field. You can do it. You can actually clean your DNA up, right? You can clean it for you. You can clean it for your kids. Guess what happens when you clean it for you or your children? Now you've just changed. You broke that cycle. You broke that cycle of that inherited trait. So that's quite mystical versus mathematical, but I just want you guys to know you can actually break the DNA chain. You can break it. You can fix it. You can clean it, okay? So if you have different traits that you've inherited from your parents or your grandparents, you can remove a lot of that. When I was a young kid, my whole family on my father's side, every single person's had a stroke, dementia, every single person. Every single person. And I remember when I was young, I had that same behavior, right? High stress, freaking out, that kind of worrying about everything. And when I started to change it, everything came into line. The body came into alignment. Really, really important. But it was the belief that I could do that I didn't want to end up like my dad and my grandmother and my uncles. I didn't want to end up that way. I had to change that behavior because I was already displaying that type of high stress behavior as a teenager, right? And then more so as I got out of college, and I realized I better put a stop to this. So you make that decision, and then it changes, okay? Really important that you guys understand that you have the power to do this, okay? Sanguru, this is really important. Okay, so we're dealing with health issues, healing issues, anything that comes our way. We can't be like, oh, I just don't feel like handling this. I can't. I need someone else to help me out here. I just can't do it. And what people do is they let what I just talked about go on for years and years and years. So now we're getting reinforced in that behavior that causes that illness, okay? So let's check this out.
The whole karmic process is about this, that if you wish, spiritual process is just about updating your karma so that you take newer and newer karma which is in the stock. Normal people, see, I'm calling them normal because they're majority, I also want to be safe. I'm saying idiotic people, that's what I mean by normal. Idiots in the world will always see how to have limited karma. One who is on the spiritual path, who is on fire, wants to download the whole warehouse. But he knows if he downloads the whole warehouse, the hardware itself may break, it's too much. So, keeps upgrading, keeps on taking up more trouble, because we want all the troubles to be done as quickly as possible. Constantly upgrading or downloading more and more. So it looks like those who are on the spiritual path seem to be, in terms of life situations, they're a little more tortured than others. But it's okay, as long as you're suffering, load is not a problem. Load is not a problem. Everybody goes to the gymnasium and does this. They're carrying loads because they think their body will improve with that. So load will only strengthen you unless you suffer the load. If you're suffering the load, then it's a problem. The problem is not with the load, the problem is that you are a suffering creature. If you are not suffering, what is the problem with the load? You will become very strong. So one who is on the spiritual path is always seeing how to download new software and deal with it, not postpone it for tomorrow, not postpone it for another time. We want to deal with it now, everything that's there in this, all the stuff, whatever, good, bad, ugly, I want to handle it now, not tomorrow. Are you okay? Everything, good things.
You want to handle load now. Don't put it off. Many people, from a spiritual laziness standpoint, do not deal with the issues they need to deal with now. So what they do is they put it off till tomorrow. Then what happens? It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. We talked yesterday about addictions and starting to break addictions. We were having a great conversation this morning. Joanne, I don't get to embarrass you very often because you're such a one. Talking about sugar, right? Right. So you're like, I'm done with sugar, right? And you get to a point where I talked about my yogurt problem, right? Okay, done. It's causing something to go wrong in the body. I don't want that anymore. You have to recognize it and be done with it, Can you all hear me? Because my earpiece has been a little strange. Thank you. I'm going to tell you a little quick story. This is really important. Once you decide to be healthy, everything changes. Once you decide. Back in the late 80s, I told you I had so many problems in my 20s, right? Physical problems, all from that person who was high stress, that person who would have died had I not made a change. I remember someone telling me, fellow executive at Paramount, said, if you keep going the way you keep going, Veronica, you're going to hit a brick wall when you're 30 and you're going to be dead. I said, nah, and I'm not listening. I had to change the behavior. I decided to take the load and say, I've got to deal with it. And so, little by little, you start to figure out what's wrong, but you still don't do anything about it. I'm like, nah, I got to keep going. I've got to keep going. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm just going to keep going. So what's happening? It's getting worse because you're not dealing with the issue. So if it's a health issue and you're not dealing with it, it's going to get worse if you don't address it. Okay, and I don't mean just simply go to the doctor. I don't mean just simply get help medically. You've got to deal with it. I had an issue in 1990, I think it was, yeah. My migraines were so bad. I had migraines, a lot of you probably suffer from that. And it's all stress related. Migraines are all stress. And I look back, and my doctor in Westwood said, you know what, here, take this pill. It'll help you. They didn't have a lot of stuff for migraines back then. And I couldn't even function. It was so bad. And I worked those crazy hours that I mentioned. I was in such extreme pain every day, every single day. I didn't get a break. So the doctor said, here, take this medication. It'll help you with your migraines. I'm like, okay. I don't know what it is. I never did drugs as a teenager, so I didn't know what any of this is. He gave me phenobarbital. Okay? It's a barbiturate. It's a barbiturate. What Elvis died of. It's a barbiturate. It's a barbiturate drug. I didn't know what it was. It's a barbiturate. No. It's more of a... Dr. Borisenko, what would you call phenobarbital? A downer, okay? Yeah. So I took it every day. The doctor told me to take it. It barely helped. So I took it every day. I didn't know what it was, okay? And I took it every day for a year. And I was in the entertainment industry, and I would keep my little bottle of this medicine in my drawer at work. And every day my music video editors would come in and steal these pills. I said, why are they stealing my pain pills? What are they doing? Why? So really, and it finally came down to a day where I said, okay, this is stupid. It was about a year later, 2 years later, I'm off of this. I hadn't realized I was taking them every day. It wasn't working, but it obviously was doing something that I felt like I had to take it, right? The next day, and the next day, and the next day. So finally, I decided, and it was 91, and I said, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this. It was about a year, and I said, I'm done. So how am I going to get off of this stuff? Well, here's what I did. I was so determined. When you make up your mind, so everything will change. I said, I'm done. So every day, I had my beautiful sister-in-law, Debbie, who was here yesterday. She was a production accountant for me at the time. And every day, because I had those crazy hours, I would take off my shirt, I'd put my hair up, and I'd make her rub Bengay all over me. And I'd tie my head in an ice pack. And that's how I lived for like a year. Bengay and the ice pack. Better than the barbiturate, don't you think? Okay, so I withdrew off of it, and I was done. Okay, but you have to make the decision. You have to make the decision. You don't make the decision, it's not going to happen. Is everybody clear? All right? All right, moving on. All right, now let's talk about aging. I have to just embarrass Joan because she's so beautiful. Joan, you look 25 years younger than you are, 30 years younger than you are, right? Amazing example of someone who's living in Kairos time, right? Not Chronos time. Let's hear from Greg Radin on this.
Later doesn't mean that you have deteriorated. You may actually be healthier an hour later than you were an hour before. And that is because of what we talked about, our relationship to our body, our relationship to the cells, and all of the functions that I shared that all fall under the category of self-regulation. We're the only form of life with the ability to consciously self-regulate our immune response, our longevity enzymes, our metabolic processes, our cognitive processes, all of that, Julie. No other form of life can do it on demand. There are some animals that do it by instinct in response to what's happening in their world. Those are epigenetic responses that are instinctual. We have epigenetic responses that are conscious. So I can sit down in this chair right now and I can say in this moment, I choose to strengthen my immune response and go through the techniques and the processes and live my life in this day, and I know the ways that support that. So this is the difference between cyclic aging. So every day, rather than draining the tank of life a little bit more, what we do is every day we make choices that top off that tank so that you are not depleting your life force as you move forward in.
You just said the same thing we talked about yesterday, right? You choose your decisions. You don't want to be depleting the engine. And if the gas tank is slowly going down, 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 life force is slowly coming out. That's why we're refueling all the time. We're refueling the plane. All right, moving on. Elemental healing. Does anyone know what that is? It's using the elements to heal you. A lot of cultures have elemental healing. There are some that work really well, and I'm going to teach you something very simple. Some of you know this already who've been coaching with me for many, many, many years. I'm going to teach you a very simple elemental healing technique today, okay? I want to start by saying that when our guest comes up later this morning, Cindy, she's going to talk about your chakras, right? We've got our 7 chakras in the body, and there's actually 5 others that are outside the body. And it's really important that not only are you cleaning these things inside of you, but you're cleaning the field around you. Yesterday, we spent an enormous amount of time talking about the aura, enormous amount on your field. Really important that we are constantly cleaning that every single day. Remember we talked about the debris that gets in there, right? We got to clean it. But that's just the field. Now we have to clean the inside too, okay? So I want you guys to listen up. This is a really interesting 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to take a deep breath. Not just a breath to fill your lungs, but a breath that fills your soul. Because what we're about to talk about goes beyond the surface. This is deeper than motivation. This is about transformation. This is about energy. Your energy, your aura, your inner power, the very force that creates your reality, shapes your relationships, guides your decisions, and determines your destiny. We live in a world that constantly demands more from us. More work, more noise, more comparison, more proving, more pretending. But in that constant push for more, we've forgotten something essential. We've forgotten to protect what matters most. Our energy. Your energy is not just some invisible vibe. It's your truth. It's the atmosphere you carry. It's what people feel when you walk into a room. It's what the universe responds to. It's what builds your future. And if you don't take care of it, if you don't become intentional about how you use it and who you allow to access it, you'll find yourself tired, confused, and unfulfilled, wondering why your efforts don't match your results. It's not because you're not smart enough. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's not because you're not talented enough. It's because your energy is being leaked, scattered, absorbed, and drained by things and people that don't deserve access to your spirit. Your aura is sacred. And no matter what you've been through, heartbreak, failure, rejection, disappointment, you still carry a light within you that the world didn't give you and the world can't take away. But that light needs protection. That light needs nurturing. That light needs space to grow. And that's what this message is about. Today we begin a journey to clean your aura, to reset your spirit, to rise in your energy so you can rise in your life. This isn't about becoming someone else. This is about coming home to who you truly are, the powerful, radiant, centered version of you that's been buried under noise, doubt, fear, and distraction. We're going to break down the practices that elevate your energy. We're going to talk about solitude, release, boundaries, and protection. Because you deserve to wake up feeling light. You deserve to walk through life with clarity. You deserve relationships that pour into you, not drain you. You deserve peace that isn't shaken by other people's chaos. So if you've been feeling off, if your spirit has been heavy, if your life looks fine on the outside but your soul feels tired on the inside, this is your wake-up call. It's time to reclaim your energy. It's time to stop giving your power away. It's time to clean your aura, protect your peace, and step fully into the vibration that aligns with the life you deserve. Because when your energy is clear, your purpose becomes magnetic. Let's begin. Your energy is everything.
Clear. Your purpose is clear when your energy is clean. All right, we'll do a little preachy. Now, yes, Joanne. You're going to get the whole video. Yeah, all of these videos are going to be in your PowerPoint, and you're going to have the entire video. These are like 1-hour videos, right? He's a pretty well-known, he's a YouTuber influencer. He's a Buddhist monk. He's really nice. He's a great guy, and I think you'll love a lot of his materials. He's younger, so I think you'll enjoy some of his stuff. I don't have it in front of me right now. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be a little preachy now. Okay? Your body is made up of a lot of water. A lot of water. Look when you're born. I'm going to show you a picture of when you're born. Your cells are made up of 73 to 79% water. Look at the baby. See the baby on the left? When you're born, you have 80% water. You're made up of 80% water. And then as you age, look what happens. Less and less water, right? So as our bodies age, they're not as dehydrated as they are when they're young. And it's so important that your body gets hydrated, because when you age, your water levels go down. That's how you get wrinkles and get aged organs. So, and your body doesn't process water as well as you get older. So it's really important that you get water. Water regulates your temperature, carries oxygen, lubricates the joints, flushes out the waste, dissolves all the minerals and nutrients into your body, and it protects your organs. You got to have a certain amount of water every day, and it's a lot more than most of us want to drink. Okay? 3.7 liters for men and 2.7 liters for women. There's two ways the body works with water in the cells, intracellular and extracellular. The intracellular is actually putting the fluid in the cells. The extracellular is running it around the rest of the body. When you're adequately hydrated, your body can bring all the nutrients to where they need to be, right? Even if you're mildly dehydrated, you're going to be tired, you're going to be clouded, you're just not going to be peak performance, right? Water is essential for digestion, right? It's really, really important. Your skin to be vibrant, your cognitive functions, right? Really important for brain function, okay? So your organs have to have water. Your body weight, it could be anywhere from 45 to 65%. But look at the brain and the heart, 73%, the lungs, 83%, muscles and kidneys, 75%. Did you also know that water removes fear? Oh, little balloons just went up. Water removes fear. So if you're being fearful, go drink a couple of bottles of water, okay? The more hydrated you are, the less fearful you will be. And you know what? We all struggle with that, right? Sometimes I drink so much water, I just don't want it anymore. Trick yourself. Put something natural in it to flavor it. You know, I put like a little honey and lemon rind in the water. It tastes great. I pretend like I'm drinking lemonade, and at least there's no artificial sugar, and it figures something out so you can drink more water. It's really important, you guys. It's processing all these important things through your body. And when you're dehydrated, your body, just think about when you're outside and in the mud that's not wet on the ground. It gets caked, right? Out here in the desert, you see how the earth gets so caked without water, and it gets very, very dry. So it's really important that you guys do that. I don't want to be preachy on you, but it's super important, okay? And this video we will look at a different time, but we have 5 tips, really important. Number 1, water. Number 2, good food. Number 3, nature. Number 4, sunlight. And number 5, what fire burns inside of you? What is that? Your motivation, your big why, right? What your spirit's getting excited about. You know, there's a lot of people that followed amazing regimens. Go to the gym every day, they eat really good, and they're still getting sick, right? So that fire inside of you, the burn, the excitement, the motivation, the wanting to do something great in life, the spirit, that's that 5th part. And yeah, water, food, nature, sunlight, yeah. I think we've got this on 30 seconds, guys. Is it 30 seconds? I don't know if you cut this one for me, did you? Didn't, okay, I'll skip through it. All right. Here we go. We're moving into elemental healing now. The 4 elements are how you can actually heal something inside your body system or your chakra system, okay? The most important part is the belief. Remember that ingredient? Okay, the spirit coming in. All right. 4 elements. You can use the 4 elements to do what is called an elemental healing. Anybody ever go to the Murrieta Hot Springs out here? In Murrieta, it's so nice. You go there, you've been there? You can go there, they have so many different things. They have the mineral springs, they've got the mud pack, they've got all these things going on, right? And so they're using elements of the elemental healing when you go to a spa that does those types of things. So I'm going to first talk about the elements. Everybody knows what the 4 elements are, right? Right? Earth, wind, fire, water. And that 5th one, remember the 5th one? Ether or spirit. Okay? This is the 5th element. This is the 5th element. Chinese call it metal, the Hindus call it ether, Christians call it spirit, Judeo calls it spirit. This is the 5th element. So the 4 elements need this 5th one, the spark, right, to work. Otherwise, it's just dirt, air, fire, and water. But it needs that 5th element to work. And that's why a lot of people, they'll go to all these spas to try. But you have to realize there has to be that element inside you that lights it up. Like Sonia kept saying, get in your body. You're over here. You're in your head. Get in your body. Get in your body. Okay? All right. So you can clean your aura and remove all the shadows and the smudges in the aura and in the chakra by using these. Okay? There's a video here that's amazing. We're going to watch it on your own time because it's rather lengthy. All right. Now, yes. Oh, are they not up? Sebastian. Let's go backwards. Sorry, guys. Where's my screen? We were talking about water, right? All right, we're talking about water. Okay, right here, the five tips. Water, food, nature, sunlight, and your big why, or what your excitement or your spirit. Okay? And there's a video about that. Here's your 4 elements. Okay? Sorry about that, folks. Here's your 4 elements: water, earth, wind, fire, and the 5th element right here, ether or spirit. Okay? This is the connection to make the elements work to clean you. Okay? Using wind, using water, using fire, using earth. That's how you get rid of all the smudges inside of your field and inside of your chakra system. Okay? All right. Now these are just abstract pictures, but I wanted you to kind of get a concept. Abstract. Okay, these are abstract. We talked about the nice, beautiful cells. When a beautiful new cell grows in our body, that's the feeling you want to embody with a beautiful new cell. Okay? How pretty that is, huh? Really nice and translucent, looks good. Now, look at that cancer cell. Wow. They eat each other up. Okay? See the difference? Wow. Okay? Again, this is more of a visual interpretation, but that is a real picture under a microscope right there. Wow. That's a lot of bad thinking right there. I mean, look at that. That's what you're trying to regrow, that visual. So I needed to give you a visual to hold on to, even though there are millions of cell types that all look different colors and different shapes. It gives you the idea that what you want to regrow is that clarity. That clarity. You don't want that. Okay? So if you do have that, how would we get it back to that? Or how do we get rid of that and make the new ones grow back like that? You know when you see someone who's aged dramatically? We've all had issues in our lives, haven't we, where we went through something horrible and we aged. Can you raise your hand and say you've aged in your life over? Yeah, almost everybody. I know I have. There are times in my life where I went through horrendous things. I actually aged. Okay? So aging can be exasperated when we are having trauma. And we're in the trauma, and we just can't seem to get out of it. And then we finally get on the other side of it, but the damage was done to the body. So now we try to reverse that, okay? And really learning to know that that's the clarity of what we want ourselves to look like. That's the feeling we want, okay? All right, there's your 4 elements. There's the bubble I'm talking about. Oh, guys, the thing's not, hold on. There we go. There's the bubble. There's the field. If you want a visual, there's the field. Does that work for you? There's your field. It's an easy way to visualize it. Okay? So when you go out in the day, you put that little bubble up around you, and you're good to go. Your clients won't be able to poke in it. Yes, Yvonne. Yes, you do. Great question. That's in Ayurvedic medicine. Deepak Chopra has a fabulous book about that on Ayurveda, and you'll know which one you are. It means that you lead, just like your disc profile, you lead with one of your letters. Same thing, you lead with an element. Not necessarily. It just means that it's your type. There are elemental types like Kapha, which are people that are tied to the earth, or Pitta, which is tied to fire. I mean, Eliza, you've been in ashram, right? Yeah. So you have one of your four that is kind of like the one that fuels your body. That doesn't mean that you like fire or that you like water, okay? All right, so now I'm going to get esoteric on you. Here we go. Ready? All right, religion. Remember, we're not talking about religion here, so let's forget about that. In many healing traditions where they use the elements to heal, every tradition has a name for one of those four elements. Okay? If you were like elementals, you study elementals and what we call nature healing, right? There are elemental kings, let's just say, people that beings that rule that element, okay? If you are in the Egyptian model, there are four of their gods that rule the elements. If you're Jewish or you're Christian, the four elements are ruled by, if I'm going north, on the north is Uriel, on the east is Raphael, on the south is Michael, on the west is Gabriel. If you're Jewish or Christian, they use those four archangels. Every tradition uses different names to call the elements. They are the king, they're the ruler of that element. Does that make sense? So don't think religion, just think elements, okay? In order to heal the smudges in your chakra system, so your chakras all beautiful, they're supposed to be bright lights, right? That beautiful lavender, the blue, the green, the yellow, the orange, the red. They're supposed to be beautiful and shiny, but they get smudged up. So your chakras get smudged up, right? And your contracts are stuck in there too. The lessons are all in there. It's like an index file of where all the lessons are. They're in your chakras, right? So you got to clean it up, and you get smudged from the day. Remember we talked about that? So that your field is getting smudgy, but it's also smudging all of this beautiful clarity and puts smudges. You got to clean those smudges. Elemental healing is an easy way to do that. So I'm going to give you, and this is in my book, and it's a really simple process, and I'm going to explain it. Here we go. Let's pick something. Let's say that I'm having a problem. I can feel I'm having a problem over here in my body, or I'm having a problem here, or you can feel what chakra your problem is in. Or maybe you have a little tumor that's growing, okay? All right, whatever it is that's in your body, you're having stomach issues, I don't know, you're having asthma. Doesn't matter what it is. You use the four elements to heal it. Here we go. We start with earth, okay? So that's connected to the north. So you take earth as if you pretend like you're grabbing dirt, like a nice compost of dirt. Earth. Got it? Earth. Now, on the right is the symbol of healing liquid. It's green. That's supposed to be the air. It's like Nickelodeon slime green. Okay? So you got earth, and you pack the earth over the area you're trying to heal in your body. Mentally, we're doing this mentally. I like to use the shower because it's the only time I can do anything by myself. So I use the shower, right? I can think in the shower. So I will take, sometimes if I'm sitting quietly, take the earth, pour the green slime over it, which is the air, and now it's muddy. You see the mud? Picture it packing. Guess who's packing it? Your little angels. They're all coming in. and they're packing it. They're all coming into your body, and they're all going like this, and they're packing the mud, the green liquid mud around the affected area. You got it? Green liquid mud. Boom. Got dirt plus the green liquid. Just think Nickelodeon. You'll think of the color of the slime, Green, beautiful liquid. Boom. Now we've got a mud pack, really liquidy mud pack all around the affected area. Got it? Uriel is the north, and the Raphael, if you're Christian or Jewish, Uriel's the north, and the green one would be Raphael. And if you look them up, you'll see that the colors. Uriel is one of those, you'll see a picture, cornucopia, that whole thing, right, earth. So green, mud, wet mud, really packing the wet mud around your area. Okay, got it? Great, we got a wet mud pack. Now, if I go to Murrieta Hot Springs, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give me a wet mud pack at the spa. Did you know that? They're going to give me, if you go on a mud bath or you go take a mud pack for healing at the spa, there's a lot of spas that are in Sedona. You can do this as well. You're getting wet, packed mud on your body. This is what they're doing, elemental healing. I don't know that they do. Maybe the founders of those great hotels know that they're doing that. Okay, now what's next? The next thing they do when you're at the spa and you get a wet mud pack is they put a really hot towel on you. The next element, fire. Now don't be afraid. Now you got this mud pack inside your body. Remember, you're visualizing inside the body, not outside, inside. Now we have to light it up. Picture your body completely on fire. Don't worry, you're not going to be hurt. Completely engulfed. See that picture on the right? Completely engulfed. You can picture yourself raising your arms and going, ah, completely engulfed. What's it doing? It's like burning a dung. It's burning the mud pack. Got it? Fire, the south. Those of you who are in Jewish or Christian religion, it's Michael, or in Hebrew, Mikael. Last but not least, we got to rinse. Water. Water. That's the kind of water I'm talking about. Beautiful, crystal clear, gorgeous, gigantic streams of water coming down over the top of you. Completely down over the top of you. Coming in through the crown and washing all the mud. Where's it going out? If it's coming in from the crown chakra, where is it going out? The root, at the bottom, right? And here's where it's going. Into the earth. I need these visuals so you have them. So here's this volcanic rock. You visualize the earth open up, and all this mud and water and stuff is all going into that earth. Earth opens, goes into the molten core of the earth. What happens there? Gets regenerated. Matter then turns back into energy. It gets burned in the core. It drops all the way down into the core of the earth and fires up. Now, one time's not enough. The way you know it's done is when the water runs clear. So you start it all over again. So you just finished that. This could take up to 15 minutes in the shower to do this. Okay, let's go. Dirt again. Pack it on. Green liquid. Catch it on fire. Burn it. Burn. Rinse. And then you'll see the little pieces in your mind's eye going into the earth. And then I'll say one more time. You can tell when it's done because there's no more pieces. Like there's no more rocks and pieces floating down into the earth. It's rinsing. You're rinsing everything out. And it's work. This is work. Greg Braden, who you saw on the screen. Joan, do you know Greg? Yeah, you know him really well. He's a friend of yours. Greg Braden went to China and did some studies about 15 years ago. Really powerful. They had a woman with a tumor this big. It was in her abdomen. They had 5 Chinese doctors and 5 monks in the operating room, and they were doing this type of process. They shrunk it down to this big, okay? It's doable. You can do it, but it's work. Everyone thinks, this is going to be so easy. It's not easy because that whole visualization exercise takes work. And if you see a little piece still in there, you're like, okay, I got to do it again. And then you get a little tired. When I'm working on somebody, it's exhausting because you're putting all of that fifth element in, right? Your spirit's going in to try to get this done. Yes, Christina. Everyone has the ability to see in their mind's eye, right? Close your eyes. You picture something at your house, right? If you can picture your bedroom, you close your eyes, you know exactly what your bedroom looks like, don't you? Walk in your bedroom, look at the nightstands, look at the bed, look at the dresser, look around at the bedspread. Did you just see your bedroom? Yeah. Mind's eye. It's your mind's eye, and you've got to train it, right? Right here. Sixth chakra, you got to train it. And you have to believe it. No different than manifesting your business. It's the same thing. You're doing a movie. You're doing a movie. Does elemental healing work? Yeah, I use this one because it's so easy compared to some of the more complicated ones. So I thought this would be the easiest one to teach you. There's so many modalities. Like Cindy will give you a totally different one today. But elemental works really easy. I got dirt. I got the green liquid. I've got fire, and I got water. And I got to make sure that it goes down into the earth through my root. So I typically will stand with my feet apart in the shower so that I know it's going down into the earth, right? And the earth opens up. I use volcanic rock because it was a great example. If you picture you're in Big Island of Hawaii or something, see that volcanic rock? It's easy to picture it opening up, and there's all the fire inside. And then it just goes in there, and you hear it sizzling. You can hear the water sizzling when all the water goes down. And then sometimes I'll do enough, and I'll say, I just can't do anymore. I have to go. I have to go to work, or I have to go do something. But I got it down from this to this, and you'll know it. You'll know it. The proof will happen when you go to the doctor, or the proof will happen when it disappears out of your body. That's the proof. You know, Sonia said to me yesterday, she read the room when she came in. She made you guys do the exercise with the breathing because she said the whole room was mental. The whole room was mental. You know, and everybody's spirits were out of their bodies somewhere, but not here. So she had to get you back in. So that's the issue. It's belief, and if you don't believe it, you're going to definitely struggle. Paula. 9 years ago. Mm-hmm. Your fifth element. Yeah. Your fifth element came in. It came in. Yeah. I agree with you, Paula. How many of you feel better after you work out a little, right? Or you take a walk, right? Absolutely. Movement. I love that. Thank you so much for that. That was fabulous. Thanks, Paula. That was a good point. And Christina, you have to keep trying until you get the picture. until you get it. Again, go ahead. Right. Agreed. Yeah, thank you. That's a great point. It doesn't help on this situation, right? The ego needs to go bye-bye and sit in the corner. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great point. So guys, elemental healing is just one of the easiest ones to do. It's like you can figure that out. But remember, who's bringing the little mud in and who's pouring? The angels are, right? So your little helpers are coming in. You can think of them like as little munchkins coming in, and they're putting the pack, and they're pouring the liquid, and then light on fire. Now, Michael, used in the Jewish and Christian tradition, he's got the sword, right? And he just goes, and off the fire goes, right? And so you have to just picture whatever you want for the fire to light up. That fire is the critical component. This has to happen because you're packing it around the affected area. This is critical. It's just your whole body. You got to visualize your whole body completely on fire. There's no pain. It's all good. All on fire, and it's just burning everything. And then water clears it off. Okay? All right, and then down into the earth it goes. All right. Oh, I did really well. What time is it? Wow, I just made it. All right, guys, take your break. We're coming back for our incredible special guest at 10:30. Thank you, guys.